life is my own.
Welcome back to airradio.net's Just Listen with DJ Design Steve and special guest today, Calculus from London. Are you there, Carl?
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone in Radioland, I'm here.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. Haven't done that many interviews in a long time, but you know, when I'm with Carl, it's kind of like we're just talking to each other. It's not like, okay, the official interview before the primaries and in the Iowa caucuses and all that crap.
We're just hanging out.
That's right, because we don't really care about that other stuff. Nobody's paying us anything, and we don't have any groups that are funding us to say certain things. So we'll say whatever we want to, because we're not just numbers.
No, we're definitely not numbers. I am not a number.
Oh my goodness. We're talking about the Prisoner series from the late 60s, and you've been listening to some tracks that are related to that and a new album that Carl is going to release here before too long, and we'll find out more about that. I went back and watched some of the episodes or parts of them yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Of that show, and I mean, that is a weird...
It sure is.
Show. You know, I was about 6 or 7 when it was in its heyday, and all I remember was that white bouncing ball.
Rover, yeah. Everyone remembers Rover.
But I don't remember all of the different things they said. And what do you want? Information.
Information. It's brilliant.
I know. It's like this guy sitting in the middle of this big room that's kind of like the holodeck on Star Trek. I've got to go back and watch the show now because I'm thinking it's got that look to it. It's got that studio look to it with the studio lighting, you know, and everything.
It has, isn't it? It's very stark lighting, but it's very kind of relevant now because everything seems to go full circle, and I think that's where we are right now, is all that kind of 60s James Bond and all them secret agent shows, that kind of set design. It's kind of modern now. At the time, they were trying to make it futuristic, I guess, and they didn't really fail in that. They're not too far off the mark.
Like you said, those shows are kind of relevant now. You can't really tell what's real and what's not real. It's kind of like that show, The Prisoner, what's authentic and what's not. Like here they have shops where you can go buy sports memorabilia and cards, and then there's the real expensive stuff hanging up on the wall. It's mounted like a jersey signed by, you know, whoever. And the guy was telling me that, yeah, you know, people bring in baseballs and they'll pay $100 for them. And he said, I'll look at it in a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. I'll be able to tell this is a complete fake. It's got a signature on it. But he said that there are machines that will write signatures on the baseball, that like it's a business, and have the signature down from the original, so they can make X amount of dollars.
Again, that going back to The Prisoner, that's kind of how society is. Everything is kind of controlled, everything is kind of condensed, and so the actual individuality has been sucked out of kind of society. With cell phones, everybody walks around with a cell phone, and we're expected to behave in a certain way, and if you try and be different, then you're considered a rebel. And I guess that's why they're called cell phones, because we are prisoners to them.
Wow. I've never heard it said that way before, but it's true. Like the idea of being in a cell. But it's true. It's like with owning people and knowing where they are. And I haven't really checked this thing on my iPhone, but supposedly there's a thing on there recording how many steps I take every day. Like,
see, some things like that can be useful if you're, I don't know, trying to lose weight or whatever. There are useful aspects to it, but the thing that people lose sight of is that every mobile phone and tablet or all these kind of modern gadgets, they actually track your movements. So whenever you post a picture, it will tell you where you are, or it will tell the world. And whoever's controlling that device, Facebook or whoever it may be, or even governments, so they know your movements. When you search on the internet, they know your kind of interests. And so what they do is subliminally they send you these adverts it is a form of mind control. It's done very subtly, and as I said, most people just go along with it.
It is true. And however long this period of freedom lasts, if that's what it is, I'm the prisoner is, again, that subject matter is kind of like, I'm not just a number. I can see where one day they're going to involve in that tracking of information, and they're going to stop people from being able to do independent things on a global level.
In most Western countries, you're supposed to have freedom of speech, but you really haven't, because if you say what you truly think or feel, again, you become a target. And I think that's wrong. And that's not how it used to be. And everything like the internet, they're now enforcing that everybody should have broadband, which you think on one hand is the good thing. Every home can have the internet, but it's because they want to control you. They want to know what the houses who don't have broadband are doing. So installing it in your home, again, they'll know what your interests are, who you're talking to, and your movements. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be freedom of choice. And a lot of the times when you get a new device, you can't actually use it freely until you sign up to various companies, Microsoft or Apple, whoever it may be, before you can actually use it or activate your emails. And so you know that your private emails are being monitored. They're being held in a central database, and we all know how unsecure places like that are.
That's true. It makes you think, how many people are monitoring servers? Maybe some of it's done by automation, like it picks out keywords and sort of compiles them together and then tracks them back. Or are there people actually sitting there watching a conversation?
That's kind of why I wrote them songs that you play, the prisoner-themed songs. Not like, some songs, they kind of beat a drum and bang on about a message. It's just for fun, but it's my own personal take on how I view the world. And it just kind of all tied in neatly that the prisoner's due to celebrate its 50th anniversary on the 5th of September 2016. And so I kind of wrote these songs to tie in with that. And on that day, that was the day they started filming in Portmeirion, which is an incredible village in Wales. The classic thing is it actually exists, but you really think it shouldn't, because it's like very Venetian design. It was Clough Ellis-Williams who designed the village, and he built it up over many, many years. And it was based on his holidays in Italy, so the architecture is very much reminiscent of that. So it looks very out of place when you stumble upon it in Wales. And Patrick McGoohan, who conceived the idea of the village and the prisoner show, he actually went there when he was filming Danger Man and fell in love with the place and had a holiday there. And that sowed the seed of, well, I really want to do something with this place. I want to make a program, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. And then over the next few years, the prisoner formed in his mind, and that's where he decided to make it. And I think had he made it, in a film studios and it was all sets, I don't think it would have had the same impact. I think the two went hand in hand. And whenever you go to that place, look, I've visited it many a time. It is a magical place. And I wrote the songs, demos. I actually recorded in Portmeirion, and then I polished them up in my studio. And I worked with a guy called Steve Boyle, who's an experimental artist like myself. But his instrument of choice is guitar. And he builds his own guitars, and he builds his own effects pedals. So that's kind of interesting in that I do the same with keyboards. And so we're kind of marrying up keyboards and guitars, which usually I just use machines. It's nice to get another kind of human element into the mix, and it worked quite well. And we were only going to do one collaboration, one song, but we've ended up doing like half an album.
That's pretty interesting.
Shall we have some music? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. We could play a track. Do you want me to play one of the tracks we heard earlier?
If we can play out with Music Makes a Quiet Mind.
So music making a quiet mind is an interesting thought. Definitely an interesting thought. Can you say just a couple more words about that track? Why did you call it that exactly?
That first track that I did based on The Prisoner, because it was so much fun and I was collaborating with Steve Boyle, as I mentioned, we were just jamming and just messing about. And he had come up with this guitar riff that I absolutely loved, and I just played along to it. And we both looked at each other and said, we need to record this. So we recorded it, and it initially wasn't going to have anything to do with The Prisoner. It sounded out of spacey and a bit trippy. So I just held on to it. And then I was watching The Prisoner just to get more inspiration from it. And there was an episode where he walks into a music shop and there's this record. They're surveillancing him all of the time. And so he's trying to throw him off the track by playing this record over and over again and then writing things down. And he's really writing nothing down. But because they're watching him and they think he's planning yet another escape, they play this record, they get hold of this record, and there's absolutely nothing on it. And so while they're spending all the time focusing on that, he's actually hatching a different plan where he's going to escape. And there was a poster that they had on the wall that just said, "Music makes a quiet mind." And I just thought, that's a great provocative title. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call the track that we've just come up with in the studio that, and then I'm going to make it part of this prisoner tribute that I'm doing. And then I just thought, well, mind control, that's a fascinating subject. Let me add some like trippy, squelchy, pitch bendy sounds. So it makes you feel that you're being taken on a trip in your mind. But I don't want to make it dark. I want to make it kind of like a positive trip. And so the sounds which you'll hear in the track coming up and the voices that you hear at the start are the voices of the people that are putting the drug in you. But you're having such a good trip that you really don't mind. So that's kind of the thought process behind it.
Well, thank you. For me, it's been a real ear-opening experience. Just because, and we will play that track in a minute, folks. We know you're dying to hear it again. But we'll also tell you where you can potentially get this music here that we're going to play and have played. So don't worry. We want to live a quiet life with a quiet mind. Music makes a quiet mind.
La risitona, la risitona, la risitona.